Hey everybody, welcome back to another Decktech here with the Life Plays. This is our Ratadrabik of Urborg Nazgul list, so hope you enjoy. If you are not super familiar with Ratadrabik, he is a 2 and a white and a black for a 3/3 zombie wizard. He has vigilance and ward 2, got that ward baby, and other zombies you control have vigilance. But we're really here for the second half of this book here. And really what he's about is whenever another legendary creature you control dies, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it is not legendary, so we can get around that stuff. And it's a 2/2 black zombie in addition to its other colors and types. But finally got my hands on enough Nazguls, because man, those babies are, whew, they are pricey. So I'm happy it was between this and a Sauron build. And I already had a proxied out Sauron list, and it was fun. I really enjoyed it. But I wanted to just do something different, and I'll probably throw a Sauron list together too, but love me some Lord of the Rings. But here we go, Ratadrabik. Card draw. So Insatiable Avarice, I really like this card a lot. You know, for 3, you can search your library for a card, shuffle it, put it on top, which is great. And then you can also just pay 2 black in addition to that if you spree it, and then just draw 3, discard 3. That's typically what I'm using it for. The 2 to search is just kind of butter if I have the extra mana to do so, but it can be really nice. Oh, throwing cards. We're also running a Costly Plunder. So I love the art. You can use anything here. I like the sacrifice synergy here, so that's what a lot of what we're trying to do. So just pay 2, and then you can sacrifice an artifact or creature, and then you draw 2 cards. It's instant speed too, which I like. Skull Clamp. We have a lot of interesting just like token synergies and sack things, so having a Skull Clamp just makes sense. We do have some ring tempting things with all the Nazgul, so having this in here really works as kind of a Phyrexian Arena effect, but it also lets us trigger our Ring Bearer when we choose them and make them legendary, so it can really have a lot of synergy with Ratadrabik. We have Black Market Connections, so this one, I mean, it's just such a good card to run, right? I mean, it can make treasure, draw cards, give you creatures. It can just kind of catch you up wherever you might need, wherever you might be lacking in the turn, and for 3 mana, it's just so good. Takacia's Welcome. We ended up having just an actually like a large amount of CMC 3 and less creatures just because of all the Nazgul and some of the other synergy pieces. So this just kind of felt right, but you could swap this in for any like burst card draw. That's where this was in between. It was between this and maybe like a Read the Bones or something, but I just ended up going with Takacia's Welcome. Our ramp plan, so we're running Soul Ring, Orzhov Signet, Talisman of Hierarchy, and Arcane Signet as our rocks, and then I'm also running Lotho. You know, I love me a Lotho, Lord of the Rings, so it's on theme with kind of what we're trying to do, but really he's in here because he ramps you. You know, second spell, make treasure, please, I'll love it. I'll be rolling in the money. And then we got some graveyard stuff, right? We're going to run Entomb. So we're going to use Dance of the Dead, Animate Dead, Helping Hand, just hitting back on that 3 CMC or less. That's why I ended up going with this route, just because there was already so much synergy here. It felt nice to have cards like this. Return Triumphant and Savine's Wreck, all great cards to get key pieces back, like a Nazgul, or maybe one of our pinging effects, like a Blood Artist. Same thing here with Lively Dirge, right? You can go tutor up a piece to your graveyard if you need the sack outlet, if you need the pinger, and it can resurrect it for you. It can bring back 2 creatures with 4 mana less. You can get a Nazgul and a Viscera Seer. You could get just some really high value targets. So I love Lively Dirge. The more I play it, I think it just fits. I mean, one of our value creatures that I'm running, just because I didn't have another spot for her, is Shieldred. And I love running a Shieldred with a Lively Dirge. I mean, this card basically reads, pay 5, go get Shieldred from your deck, put it in play. So aggravating, but lovely. And then Junji, the Midnight Sky, right? This guy is so good with a list like ours, right? Because when it dies, it'll come back. We can remake it a legendary by giving it the ring. So we can just really do some nasty shenanigans with Junji here. And then some more value creatures, or our value section really, is we do have Sarah Ascendant. Very, very value piece here. Just comes down early, hits hard. Orcish Bowmasters punishes all those people who would just want to draw a ton. And more Lord of the Rings, you know? Like, a lot of our pieces are Lord of the Rings, so might as well just throw them all into this basket. Brimaz, King of Araskos. He just kind of... I had a stack of value creatures that I thought would be nice, and he hit the CMC that all my other things were hitting, so my Ratadrabik recursion and my just recursion package I already had fit the bill really good here, and he makes Skull Clamp targets, so just felt like he really had a nice home in this list. Plus, we got that nice little anime art, you know? Pretty nice. Or no, it's not anime art, it's just a new art. Kumbal, Profiteering Mayor. This guy's crazy. I mean, even if he just didn't have this bottom part, he'd still be so good. I mean, people want to kill him just because there's so many people who are making tokens all the time, and you don't even really realize it. And his ability to just whenever one or more tokens ETB under your opponent's control, for each of them, you just make a tapped one. That's so good. I mean, it triggers once each turn, but like treasures, clues, just all these things, creatures, you're just getting so much value and you're doing nothing. And then he also has the added benefit of whenever one or more tokens enter the battlefield under your control, he pings. So he gains and drains, and that is not limited. So this can really set us up as a pinger engine, but he's also a big value piece. So that's why he kind of got bumped into this section here. We're also running Adeline. It's kind of same reason as Brimaz, really. I mean, that's really the big reason that he's in here too, or that she's in here, is just the creature creation and the CMC value. We already talked about her. Yeah, I know she's crazy pricey, but she's so fun to play. I would just, you know, if you don't have one, swap this out for maybe some more card draw or another bomb, one of your favorites, perhaps. You know, I just love this lady. She's so fun and makes your opponents cry. So that's why we run her. Same thing with Blind Obedience. This card just makes people, you know, we want to slow them down a little, and it gives us a little extra life gain. It lets us slow down the ramp of all the players who have green, you know, slowing their rocks. Maybe not green, but anyone else slowing their rocks down, because we are, you know, we're in Orzhov, so we're trying to ramp our best. We are going to run Saw in Half just because it's super fun. You know, Saw in Half's so good. I really enjoy it. I mean, what's better than, you know, you make a non-legendary token, you Saw in Half a creature, and then boom, make 2 more copies of it, and then you already got rid of the legendary rule. So I think Saw in Half in this list has a lot of applications, not just removal for protection. I think that in this list, we're really trying to just take a lot of advantage of it. So speaking of removal, we're going to go into Path, Swords, Go for the Throat, Generous Gift, Farewell, and Damnation. So those are our big things. These are our big 2 payoffs here. We're just going to, if we need to Wrath the board, we have options for it. And then we have lots of targeted removal, just because it's nice to be the guy with the answers, you know? And then we do have protection. We're running 2 protection spells here. We're running Dawn's Truce and Teferi's Pro. So the reason I like these 2 specifically is, one, we're in white, and this is what we got. But this gives you and permanents you control hexproof. So I really like it because it can stop things that target me, not just my board. And then same thing with T-Pro. You just get out of there. You know, you're like, I don't want to deal with this, or you can protect your stuff for when you're planning to go off next turn. Very, very, very just good utility cards to help keep us alive. So we'll be talking about sacking, right? So how are we going to sack things? So we're running very, very classic sack outlets like Carrion Feeder, Viscera Seer. This one, Bartolomeo, I was thinking One Piece, but I just like this guy because you can just sack a creature, make him bigger. So there's lots of synergy there, but really what we're after is just like just sack a creature, and there's no pay mana, tap it, there's no once per turn, there's no clauses to it, it's just sacking. Warren Soul Trader. This one, we don't mind it so much because we can just pay a life, sack a creature, and we can make a treasure token, which that's nice if we need to just ramp or do something weird. But either way, we can often offset that by a lot of the pingers also gaining us life when a thing dies, so it doesn't really matter. We're running altars, so we're going to have Dementia, which is probably the best one for us. This one and this one, like, they're both great for different reasons. This one I really like because it can combo off with our Nazgul to just mill everybody out. So very easy. You don't need a pinger in this one, so you can cut the combo line a little shorter. So you don't need a sack outlet, a pinger, and a thing that can keep recurring. You can just use this and a thing that can keep recurring and just loop that and mill everybody out. But these other ones also work great. Phyrexian and Ashnod's Altar, also great add-ons to our plan. Then we get to our pingers. So, you know, we're going to sack something. We're going to keep sacking something is the game plan with Ratadrabik, which we'll go into when we get into that section. But this is how we're going to kill everyone, right? Whenever a creature ETBs under our control, each opponent loses a life. Same thing here. Whenever another creature enters, we're going to gain. And then when a creature dies, each opponent loses. So this one can offset our paying 1 life to sack a creature to loop that way. Zulaport just damages everybody. Cruel Celebrant, same kind of stuff here. Whenever it or another creature or planeswalker you control dies, each opponent loses 1 and you gain 1. Also offsetting. This one is just more targeted. It doesn't do each, but you can just gun down the table this way. So you can just take them all out like 1 at a time. Just take out highest threat to lowest. Only 2 mana investment, really good. Blood Artist, very classic. Mine is super damaged, but kind of, it just adds to the effect. Marionette Apprentice, I love this card. I throw it in so many lists. Just whenever another creature or artifact is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses a life. So I really love Loss of Life, specifically. Same thing here with Meathook Massacre. This one I know is a little expensive, with Innistrad getting reprinted, with Innistrad remastered. This should hopefully go down, but it's really, really excellent. You can play this for 2 and 0 into X, and it's just a great drainer. Whenever a creature you control dies, they lose life, and then it just can also gain you a lot of life, but it's also a great removal piece, so it scales really well. So I love me the Meathook Massacre. And then we're going to run Wisp Drinker Vampire. This one is just a little bit bigger. So whenever another creature with power 2 or less ETBs, that will trigger the drain. And then it has some added benefits of being a flying blocker, so it just has some synergy there. So let's get into what are we going to loop, or why are we going to loop these things. So we're going to use Samwise the Stout-Hearted. He's one of the examples, right? So he has Flash. When he enters, choose up to 1 target permanent in your graveyard that was put there from the battlefield this turn. Return it to your hand. Then the ring tempts you. That's the biggest part here, because what you're going to do is you're going to sack Samwise to any outlet you need. Then his legendary, you have to have Ratadrabik out, a sack outlet out, a pinger, or else this won't really do anything, or you need to use Altar of Dementia. You have to have something, one of those two. And what you're going to do is you're going to sack Samwise. Ratadrabik will trigger, which will put Samwise back into play as a non-token legendary. Then the Samwise trigger it'll enter, but what you really want is this, then the ring tempts you. So when the ring tempts you, you choose Sam as your ring bearer, making it legendary, and then boom, you're off. That's all you got to do. Super, super easy. Because it's just whenever... Ooh, sorry. Because it is just whenever another legendary creature you control dies. Not non-token, nothing. So what you're doing is you're sacking Samwise to your outlet, pinging everybody down, or milling them, and then after it's back in play, you stack this trigger first, and then when it's back in play, you choose it as its own ring bearer with its own trigger, making it legendary again. Really, really, really crazy stuff. And that is also the same kind of loop that we're going to run with Boromir. But Boromir can sack himself, he's the best. He is the best one we run, hands down, just because he has everything we need, right? He's 3 mana, so we can recur him a million times with a bunch of other ways. If he's in our graveyard before we're able to go off, we can set up, reanimate him very easily. But sacking himself is just so good. And then he protects your board, so he protects at least he gives it indestructible. You can still path your Ratadrabik or whatever, but he does give you a lot of protection. So his is the same way. You sacrifice him, Ratadrabik triggers, he comes back in. He is legendary, but the token won't be, but then the ring tempts you. So you can then make him the new non-legendary Boromir, your ring bearer, making it legendary, and then you loop that. Same thing with Gollum. He works very closely to Samwise, and pretty much you can swap them out, right? When it leaves play, ring tempts you. So it dies, stack the trigger first, then resolve it and have the ring tempt you and make him your ring bearer. He does have a lot of other cool synergies too. If he's in your graveyard, you can sacrifice a creature and return him, so you can start some interesting things there. But that's why we love those guys. And then the Nazgul, right? That's what we're running all 9 of these bad boys for, is just that specific interaction that they have. But they're also a win con in their own way of just beating face, dude. They get huge. I mean, whenever a Nazgul enters play, right? Whenever Nazgul enters, ring tempts you. So sack it, comes back. it's tempting itself as soon as it ETBs, so it will, you know, it can be legendary at any time. As soon as it enters, make it your ring bearer, it's legendary. Then you can sack it to Ratadrabik, it'll come back, make it legendary again, but it'll get so big, you know? So it triggers a lot of different things. So it triggers our Wisp Drinker Vampire because it won't get huge because we'll keep sacking the same one. But if we have 2 in play, then this one will get massive and you can beat people down. And that's just if you have 2 in play. Imagine if you just have more and more and more and more in play, just triggering each other. So they are great. And the best thing about this whole line of what we're doing is the resiliency. Just in the Nazguls alone, you have 9 copies. So you don't even have to run any tutors. You have 9 of those. And then you have 3 other options that can sub in to do the same loop. So I really like it. Very, very, very fun. And then we're going to run Ghost Quarter, Bajuka Baug, Tainted Field. Those are just kind of our, little utility land stuff. And then we're going to run all these bad boys. You know, we want to make sure, this one's probably the weakest one, but we're running all these just to make sure we can hit our colors. You could probably swap Restless Fortress, but it was in one of the previous Orzhov land bases that I pulled apart to put into this list, so I kept it, you know. And then we're just running Swampies. You know, we're running some Swampies and some Plains. Running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Looks like 11 Swamps. Whoa. Even split. 11 Plains, 11 Swamps. I went with the new Capenna arts. I don't know. They were cheap when they were foil, so I like them. I like them a lot. So anyway, that pretty much wraps it up for our Ratadrabik nonsense. And it's a pretty fun list. I haven't got to play it too much because it is, I mean, it can be very strong, right? I mean, this deck can win pretty quickly just because, I mean, it has enough. I think it's fair in the way that it has, you have to assemble a few different pieces. You know, you have to have a sack outlet, a pinger, Ratadrabik in play, and then something to loop. So it's 4 pieces unless you've got the Altar of Dementia line, which then you're just 3 pieces in. But still, I think once people play against it, it's, you know, it's pretty easy to see what you're going to do. I think what makes this deck so good is the resiliency of, we have a ton of sack outlets, we have a ton of pingers, we have a ton of things we can loop. So even if you can stop, we also have a ton of recursion. So even if you can stop it and you can see where we're trying to go, it's very hard to get rid of all the pieces. Because there's often times where I'm playing this list and like, oh, they get rid of a pinger, but I already have it. I have another backup one in my hand, or I have a spell to get it back from the graveyard. So I'm not really worried about any of that stuff. And with an Entomb and a Lively Dirge, those can both really just skyrocket our potential. Because, I mean, those just tutor whatever we need into the graveyard. So whatever piece you might be missing, you can just go get it right back. It's no issue at all, especially Lively Dirge. For 5 mana, you can go get whatever sack outlet you want. Or, I mean, not whatever one you want, because it only brings back a creature. But you can go get your Viscera Seer and put it into the bin and bring back it and maybe something else. You only get to tutor one thing to the graveyard with it, but you get to bring back 4 CMC worth of stuff. So definitely some flexibility there. But that is my Ratadrabik list. It's super fun, and it's Nazgul's, so it's a blast. If this is something that you enjoyed, just, you know, leave me a like, comment down below, subscribe if you enjoyed that much, you know, that'd be pretty cool. Outside of that, though, I will see you guys in the next Deck Tech. Bye!